Singles Only Podcast Time. My name is Paul Farahvar. I'm your host. This episode features clothing stylist Lindsey Tamblyn from LT Custom Styles. This is a fun episode we did on Zoom. If you are listening to the podcast where you normally listen to podcasts, go check it out on my YouTube page, which is youtube.com/Paul F Comedy. Have upcoming dates coming up. I will be at McCurdy's in Florida, Sarasota on New Year's Eve, and I think the rest of that week. Also check out my website for upcoming shows. I will be in Florida for a lot of January dates, paulfcomedy.com. Check it out. Check out my other projects, The Sweet Opinions with Tristan Triptow, Make Us a Mixtape with Mario DeRosa, and most importantly, check out our sponsors.
By now, you know that I'm a lawyer, right? Everyone does. And I don't really practice anymore, although I still have a license. But when I need a lawyer, and I do often need a lawyer, I contact my friend Scott Shapiro. If you're injured on the job or need compensation, you're entitled to payment for more than you know. A lot of times, companies will try to settle with you so you don't get a lawyer because they don't want you to know all the monies you're entitled to. Scott Shapiro has been helping injured workers for over 20 years. In addition, his firm handles multiple other cases, including personal injury cases and entertainment law issues. He has handled a lot of my entertainment stuff as well as those of guests on the show and listeners. So you need a lawyer, sure, you can consult me. But if you want a free consultation from the best, don't take any chances. Contact my friend, Scott Shapiro. His number, 312-648-8800, or check out his website, scottshapirolegal.com. There are other Scott Shapiros. Make sure you call the right one, 312-648-8800, or scottshapirolegal.com. Tell him I sent you, and he will be very happy.
It's time for another edition of Singles Only. My name is Paul Farahvar, your host. In this episode, we're doing it by Zoom. If you're listening, wherever you're listening normally for a podcast, you can go check it on my YouTube page to see it live. We have a great guest today, fashion and clothing stylist Lindsey Tamblyn. Lindsey, you there? There she is. How are you, Lindsey?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
Oh, just living the dream here in Florida, trying to live the best life you can. How are you? You're in Arizona, correct?
I am, yeah. From
Okay.
Chicago, but in Arizona now.
Now, here's a story of how we met. I don't think you know this story or you don't remember.
Yeah, I'm like nervous.
But probably spring training, I want to say 5 or 6 years ago, we were at the W Hotel. And
Okay.
you were with a group of ladies. One of them was celebrating a birthday or a bachelorette party of some sort.
I feel like I know where you're going with this. Yeah.
And you guys were staying at the W. I was staying there with my friends. There was some fashion show or event with a lot of the White Sox were there that I recall. And then at the end of the night, obviously all the people that are still staying at the W were partying. And you guys, we were in conversation with either you or one of your friends. And then all of a sudden, everybody ends up in the pool.
You know what's so funny about that? It's so funny because it's her birthday. The girl, Melissa, she face planted into the pool. Like literally just stood there in a dress because it was her bachelorette party.
Okay, so I remember it right.
Yeah.
But it was the coolest thing for my friends and I was that somebody fell, like whatever, but then everybody just said, fuck it, and just jumped in.
Yeah.
And the security had like no idea what to do. They're just like,
yeah, they gave up.
It's like fashion party, but they're like, also we were all staying at the hotel. And
Yeah.
I think some of us went in the pool too. It was just like, it turned into a shit show, but
Yeah, I remember that.
okay. Well, that's what I remember. And then there was some connection with your crew and our crew that from Chicago, but here we are again, years later. And then I know I saw you at the comedy show at House of Comedy in Arizona.
Yes.
But now here we are, you specialize in men's custom clothes.
Yeah.
And you are single. Now,
Yes.
how is that possible given the fact that my guess is you spend a lot of time with a lot of men some single, some not.
Yeah.
And what do? You just create a line, or what's?
Yeah, I think, part of my job or my business is really becoming friends with my clients and getting to know them and their life and their story. And, not to say that it hasn't happened, but the majority of time it's very much a trust thing. And so, a lot of my clients are married actually. And a lot of them are younger. I do work with a lot of pro athletes and
Right.
baseball and hockey and, the guys now, they're kids. I joke around being like, oh, now I'm like the coaches are looking at me kind of thing. Cause I went from like the players to the coaches.
Right.
I'm like, what happened? Just kind of joking. But yeah, I think there's just kind of a line of, and it's not like, oh, I don't cross that line. It just hasn't happened. I think, when guys are asking for help or advice, it's a little bit intimidating that they're asking me, like, what do I think? It's a vulnerable situation. So
Sure.
kind of changes the dynamic of things. And I get to know them as friends. And then once a guy usually is my friend, I don't think of him
Right.
in a romantic way.
But it's got to be a situation where it's like a Hallmark show where the guy comes in and he's like,
I wish.
No,
Normally when I moved to Arizona, I built a showroom. I'm actually in it right now. And the last 9 months has been such a different story. And people do come over here. Arizona is definitely open, but people have nowhere to go. But when they do, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I just got off my Peloton. I threw on like a hoodie and like, I'm not sitting there in like this cute outfit. I'm literally like hair on top of my head, like just got off the bike. I'm like, all right, here, let's try this on. And I'm like, sorry, This is professional, but it's my company now, so I can do whatever I want.
Right. But I feel like in Chicago, there was like the Trunk Club and all those things.
Yeah. Well, and I worked for them for 7 years.
Right. I do remember that connection
Yeah.
as well. There's a thing to be said that a lot of guys would go there in hopes of like dating one of these women that are clothing stylists, right?
Well, yeah, and it would be funny because a lot of people were like, "Oh, I get the deal here. They just hire hot girls to like run around." And I'm like, "Well, I was their seventh employee. I'm like, we hire people based on personality and what they bring. Like, you can't just be hot and not work hard. It just happened to be a melting pot of people who might not want to be in some other type of sales, and they like the fashion was something that they could still make money in, but not working retail, really be in a sales environment. But yeah, I'd have the guys from teams come into town and I'd just be like, look around, boys. And I'm a matchmaker too. Like, not really, but I'd be like, take your pick. I'll let you know the deal. And like, I set people up, not just because they're single. I'm like, oh, you would actually be really good with this person. What do you like? So, but I get what you're saying. It's not a Hallmark movie though.
Well, has that happened where you've set people up that are in clothing stylists, other stylists, where you're a Trunk Club member and it's worked out where they've dated or married?
Yeah, definitely dated for sure. I have a couple marriages. Two of my best friends, I introduced them in Chicago. They're married with 3 kids now. But yeah, no, I mean, I do meet a ton of guys. And I think that's the number one question of people. They look at me and being successful usually and doing the things like, they're like, how have you not met somebody? I'm like, well, it's not always just that I haven't met somebody. I mean, I did have a serious relationship for 6.5 years. That ended 6 years ago. But yeah, I come in contact with people all the time. But for me, I constantly travel. I mean, in normal times, I'm traveling, I'm at events, I'm working hard, I'm doing a lot of things, and I'm fulfilled in a way by that experience. It's been interesting, I would say, in the last 9 months. Usually I don't have time to think about it, right? Like, I'm out, I'm going, I'm doing, I'm happy, and blah, blah. And then, this shutdown happens and I'm sitting in my apartment being like, oh shit. Like, I would just move from room to room. And like, it was really hard for the first time. I've always, I think, wanted to meet somebody. I wanted to have a family. Does that mean marriage? Maybe not, but have that partner and a family. And it's been way more in my face, I would say, in the last 9 months than it ever has been.
Right. And that's same obviously for me too, where, we, as comedians that are, we were stunted, all our shows were decimated. And so we had a lot of time to think about it. But to me, on the other side of that, did it also, like, I also was getting conversations from friends who were married and kids who were miserable and being like, what's it like right now to like do what you want?
I mean, my girlfriends would joke that like, one of my girlfriends that has 3 kids, she's like, I can't pee without one of the boys sitting on my lap or like looking at me or whatever, so But at the end of the day, I think having people around and still being in your nucleus to be able to do things with them, I would have traded with that, So
Well, let's talk about the guys that have been around. You said that have you met people, whether it was on your clock or when you were at Trunk Club? Did you ever go out with any of these guys and you were like, whether it was your client or another
yeah. Well, when
client?
I was in Chicago, I had a boyfriend that I
Okay.
lived with and was serious with. So no, not then. And then I moved to LA actually and helped with that office. And LA is a different place too. That navigating that world, I was living in Hermosa Beach, which I loved, but also the people were so young there. So, it was kind of like you were in this window. I think age plays a certain role in that. I think I moved there at 33, I want to say. And I was just trying to navigate the world that it was. And I was working a lot and wasn't that happy with Trunk Club at that point because we had gotten acquired by Nordstrom and it was just such a different animal. And I had really spent so much time and energy on Trunk Club that kind of was my identity, and when you talk to people, because I was one of the first employees, like people know that was, it was the first time I was super successful at something and people knew who I was. And so I loved that. And I kept working. I would travel and I would work and I would work and I would work. And then LA, it kind of just changed. And I was trying to figure out where I fell. So guys weren't really, I did go on dates and stuff, but never through Trunk Club, just meeting people. But
Sure.
it was just a different type of person there.
Sure.
I'm a Midwest girl. Like I like
LA.
sports. Like, yeah, what?
It's LA. I mean,
It's LA. And I didn't live in the area that was Hollywood or any of that. I was so far. And that's what I struggled with too, is because I was so far being in Hermosa Beach to get to, West Hollywood or even, wherever. It was a trek. So then I'd just be like, screw it. I'll just have some wine, a bottle of wine on my couch and call it a night. So that was kind of a thing. And then I moved to San Francisco and started my company. And then at that point, I was working a ton building my own company of custom clothes. And yeah, I dated, but it's timing.
Sure.
I think I also know men pretty well and kind of what they're thinking. And so like, I'm never the girl asking my friends being like, well, what do you think he thinks?
Right.
Like, I'm like, I know what he thinks.
You surround yourself with a lot of guys. You have a lot more guy friends. It looks like from what I.
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of both. I definitely have a lot of both. I mean, I know guys, I am around them. I joke that I should have been a psychiatrist because that's half of what I do. A guy comes in and talks about this. I'm probably like, telling them the voice of reason when in their marriage, when like, she's pissing me off. I'm like, well, have you ever thought of it from this side? So yeah, I mean, I think so much is timing for sure.
Well, speaking of timing, then what about now? You've been in Arizona now for some time.
Yeah.
How have you met people there? I know you're busy, obviously, but now you've had a time where you're not traveling as much. Have you met guys? How are you meeting them? Like,
So Arizona is definitely interesting. I mean, again, I moved here to have space. I was in a studio in San Francisco, 450 square foot studio with a rolling rack of $50,000 worth of clothes in my kitchen, and I was like, this can't work. And I went to University of Arizona, so I'm familiar with Arizona. I spend a month for spring training every year here. I have a ton of friends, but I wasn't moving here for a social life. I knew what Arizona looked like, and you've spent time here, right? Like it's an easy life. It is easy. Like if you're married with kids and you belong to your country club and that's what you want to do, like it's great. You play with the other parents and the kids and your friends all have kids the same age, but here, especially, being a young single, not young, I guess I'm not young, but being a professional here, it's really hard to meet not only guys, but girls too, that are in the same boat as you are. But I moved here to be 10 minutes from the airport because I was traveling all the time and to have this showroom. So, I am on apps. I'm on every app under the sun. And it's funny too with that because I only have a couple single girlfriends left, but those girls don't like the apps. They're like, they struggle with them. They're like, well, this guy didn't write me back and that. I'm like, it's a numbers game. And maybe it's because I'm in sales that I like don't put any thought into it. And I'm normally the person that the guys are like, hello, did you ghost me? I'm like, oh, no, I didn't ghost you. Usually I'm just not interested, but like, but I always feel with that there, you can get something out of those, maybe not romantically, but someone to go on a hike with or someone to go do something with, just that companionship, even if it's platonic.
Absolutely. And I'm a big fan of those apps too, because I've met people on there that have turned into business relationships or
Totally.
like you said, like people who are like people that can support you in one way or the other, or just
Totally.
to go eat with. Like when I'm in
Totally.
Arizona, I'll have I call my Arizona girlfriend. It's like, okay, someone I hang out with when I'm in
Yeah.
that town. And it's cool if they've got a boyfriend. It's like, all right, well, we'll just hang out and go hike or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you're going on these apps, and obviously you're busy. But have you had a chance to at least go on multiple dates with someone on one of these apps?
Yes.
Okay.
That I met from the apps, yes. I would say in Arizona, no. I would say I've been on 2, but for me, again, I have to be better about the fact that I'm usually one and done. I go to drinks or coffee or Top Golf or whatever, and I kind of know. I think that's
no. What are
you
the
just know, the and chemistry, just the things you enjoy about each other. I have tried to be better about that. I've tried to say, all right, let me try this 2 more times or 1 more time or whatever it is, because I'm maybe they were nervous or maybe they had a bad day or so I try not to be too judgy, but usually I do know off the bat. Yeah. And sometimes it's the guys that I like don't like me, or the guys that like me, I don't and again, for me, I've listened to some of your other podcasts, and most of the guys, and it sounds like you too, don't have any interest in getting married or having a relationship or any of that. That's not my scenario.
Okay.
I'm not anti-relationship. I've seen a lot of shitty relationships, but I've seen a lot of great ones. And I think I'm looking for an 82% of the time liking somebody, which I think is
2%.
kind of doable.
How'd you come up with that statistic?
Oh, it's kind of like how I was as a student.
Okay.
A B.
Solid B. You're not going to like the person for 18% of the time. You're okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
So let's talk about these dates where you give people a second or third chance.
Yeah.
What are the tells for you that you're like, okay, this is why I can't go out with you? And second part of that question is, do you tell these people why it didn't work, or do you just let it ghost?
Well, okay, I'll talk about someone who I recently, I would say, dated. He was separated, 2 kids, great guy, so sweet.
Okay.
So sweet. And I always thought, because I like kids too, I was like, oh, I would be such a good stepmom. I have a stepmom who's not so great. I love kids. I'm on the ground. All my friends are like, you need to have kids, whatever. And I was like, I can do this. Well, the thing with him was, again, it's timing. It was so recent. He didn't know himself. And he was trying to figure out where his place in the world was, because I think his ex-wife was super successful, and he was a stay-at-home dad.
Yeah.
So she ran the show. He was a stay-at-home dad. We actually went on a trip even together, and it was just, I had to do everything. It was I planned, I did this, and I am an alpha female a little bit, but I told him, because I'm direct too. I'll say, I don't always want to plan. Be a man, pick a spot. I don't mind paying for things. I don't, whatever. But I also want someone who takes control. Sure. And he could not figure out how to do that. And I told him, we were on a walk, and I was like, this is just, I think you're awesome, but timing's one thing. And I think you need to figure out your life and what you're doing and who you are. And that was that. And that's fine. And we're still buddies.
So you met him on an app, is that right?
No, I actually met him through friends.
Okay. So you met him through friends, but you guys went on a trip together. That's kind of
YOLO.
Okay.
Is that still a thing? Do people still say that?
No, but
okay, cool. I'm super spontaneous, and I never feel pressured about anything. I never feel I owe anybody, you know what I mean? So yeah. I say yes all the time. And to experiences, like I said, I thought about this whole COVID thing, that I was like, damn, I wish I had, even if it was a friend that could do this. It was down and just rent a Winnebago and, go to the Grand Canyon and go travel and just get in a car and go. I love adventure. So, so for me, that's not a crazy thing.
Sure. No. And I think spontaneity is a huge thing. Guys love it. I mean, that's the biggest thing for me in a relationship. So I think that you have a lot of things that people like. And the fact that you're willing to, only like someone for 82% of the time is pretty solid too.
I'm realistic.
But
I'm 38. So
no, a guy who is recently broken up, there's all kinds of issues with that. I could say that
totally.
But as far as the apps that you went on, the dates that you're one and done, what are the things that, especially in Arizona, because I have been on the apps in Arizona, I feel like it's a whole nother world everywhere else. There's a lot of good things about it too, because people there are beautiful. Like, I
Well,
mean,
but think of that from a female. You're a male with a lot of hot females running around.
okay.
There's not a lot of like, it's not, you know what I mean? Arizona is like the hot female center.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Like the guys that are left over here, you're kind of like, yeah, there's,
Okay.
something. But I mean, I'm speaking just in general. I've lived in now Arizona, San Francisco, and LA on apps being single. But
Right.
I also, to your point about meeting people, I was in Hong Kong and went on 2 dates with 2 Australian guys that went on a hike with one, because I was there by myself. Well, I was with my aunt, but she was doing work and whatever. And I'm still friends with them.
Right. No, I
So,
think there's something to be said about meeting people on trips too, like organically. I met a crew of people in London. I was by myself, and I had a blast, and I still talk to some of those people too. But like when you're trying to make it
romantically one and done, I can't even put my finger on it. I'm either physically not attracted to them, I'm not attracted to their personality. Like I give everybody a shot, but it just doesn't click.
what are some of your deal breakers then, so people know? So in terms of, obviously physical looks is going to be something. Are there
Yeah.
physicality that you if you lined up every guy that you've gone out with, will they all look like this? Were they all like?
They all kind of do I've had 3 serious boyfriends. They do they don't look the same, but they kind of.
Which is what?
They resemble me. No, they're all pretty much taller, like above 6'2".
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of changed. I used to be a heightest, but I'm not as much anymore.
Okay.
They have to be athletic because I'm athletic, and if I can throw a football or a baseball better than you, it's a problem. Or at least want to learn. I mean, no, I'll scratch that. They have to be athletic because again, like adventures, but deal breakers. I mean, I don't like assholes. Like I like a guy who's super sweet, super thoughtful, but has an edge, right? They can't be also a pushover. So it's a little bit of a, a fine line, I guess.
Fair. I feel like the guy you should date is like
You have someone for me, Paul?
I'm trying to picture. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that popped in my head, but like they're all like former baseball players who are like hitting coaches now, or like
yeah, I probably know them.
yeah, like but those are the people that you're already in contact
But
with.
I also, I mean, I definitely like guys that are motivated. Like I work hard. During this, I started working for my buddy's company called Fat Scooter, which is awesome. I called him in May being like, dude, I have no income right now. Like, and I don't know when this is going to end. Can I sell scooters for you? Like if I felt more safe driving an Uber, I would have done that. Like I'm a hustler. Like I don't just sit and wait for things to happen. Like I have to have a guy, and he doesn't like monetarily wise. Would it be nice if they made money? Sure. But if they have a passion or they're get up every day with a purpose and something to do and somewhere to be, like that's definitely super important to me.
And I think a lot of the pattern that I see with all my guests, especially ones who are in the arts, is they need someone that has their passion, right? And for me, the way I do that to get over it, because I feel like I'm more ambitious or passionate about the things that I pursue than is healthy.
Yeah.
But what I do to overcome that, because I don't think there are, obviously I don't date other comedians, I don't date other people in the arts. Well, maybe musicians, but what I found is dating someone who has children, that becomes their priority. And I like that.
Totally.
I love that I'm the second. I don't have to worry about, like, I tend to date women who have kids because I feel like, or at least a kid, because then I'm like, okay, I don't want the pressure of always, if I'm not hanging out with you, I feel guilty. Like I'm like, okay, you have your kid, and then when you want to take a break, like we can go have fun, we can go on a trip, we can do all that shit. Is that something that resonates with you?
No, I think I'm a hard person to date. I would, for a guy who isn't secure, because I'm in locker rooms and I'm around people and I'm around men all the time. So it definitely takes a certain type of guy to let me be me and trust me and whatever. But no, I mean, I'm not worried about a guy wanting to hang out with me all the time or like being cool. Like, cause I'm like, oh, I don't want to hang out with you all the time. Like it's never gotten to that point. Like I've never had
I'm saying I'm saying you are the guy, you're the person that's going to be so busy that you might be better off with
But I think I make myself busy.
Okay.
Like I play tennis, I do these things, but I think that if I could choose one or the other, and there was someone that I really liked and wanted to spend time with, I would be doing that. Now, that being said, it's been 6 years. I don't even remember what that's like. Like I do fear that I'm going to be maybe a little bit commitment phobic potentially.
What's the longest relationship you've had since that breakup? 6 years?
I wouldn't even.
Nothing over a month?
Oh, maybe a month. But again, what does that mean? Like you're traveling, you're doing whatever, like a month for normal humans in one city, that's one thing. But a month for us, like I could be on 16 different planes or whatever,
Yeah.
Well, so I would say nothing serious enough to speak of at all.
Right. Okay. That could mean anything, but okay, fair enough.
No, that wasn't being politically correct. I'm saying like, yeah, I hang out with people, but I would never say like, oh, I'm dating that person or this is my boyfriend or whatever.
Well,
we're just hanging out.
Last time I saw you, you came to a show. You were with.
That was a separated dad.
Oh, okay. Oh, no way. Okay. I did a show in Arizona, and there was like maybe 12 people at the show. It was like
maybe,
and in a huge place. But I thought that guy
was COVID too. To be fair, it's still like
Well, to be fair, last time I was in Arizona, I sold out 2 nights in a row, so I got caught. But
there you go.
No, the time before that. Anyway, I'm not a headline in North Scottsdale, but he was young though. I thought, wasn't he like a younger dude, or was I?
He's 39 or 40. Okay. Yeah, 39.
Okay, so he wasn't. I thought for some reason I thought he was like super young or something like that. Okay.
No.
Okay. So that's.
Pretty sure you made a joke about his hairline, maybe. No, some of the other guy did.
No, I remember. Yeah, I vaguely. Yeah, it's so bizarre. But okay. So what about? I think that dating a guy who's been a dad or is a dad is like the ideal situation. He's a hitting coach. I've got this picture.
It's not to say that I know what that world looks like too. And that is a challenge. That is such a challenging life.
Maybe not baseball. Maybe you go to a different sport.
He doesn't need to be working in sports currently. He could have played high school football and that would have been good enough.
Okay, but then he's going to be like living his, those are
he doesn't need to be varsity blue or like whatever that, the guys that have lived their glory days. He doesn't need to be like smashing beer cans on his head, but
So he was like let's say he was a second string cornerback at a high school team, Division III, but then he also was an accountant. And he got
usually accountants and finance aren't my thing because they don't even know what to do with me, but okay. It's not like people are always like, what's your perfect guy? Same thing. And I'm like, or who do you envision being with? And I can't even picture that. I did date an athlete, a baseball player who's now a manager, 12 years ago for 4 years. I met him in Australia. We got introduced through friends. He was great. I was just young and had never had a career and I wanted that. And then my ex-boyfriend is an engineer, like a software engineer, or he's a trader now, but I don't have a type. Like I do physically probably like someone who likes to work out and likes to take care of themselves. But yeah, if he plays golf and tennis now, or at least can go to a baseball game and not be like, I hate baseball or I hate hockey. Like, like those guys who like the fact that they say, I don't like sports or whatever. Right. I'm like, yeah, we'll probably never work.
Sure. No, of course. That makes sense. Okay, so what if it's like a soccer player? Those tend to be a little younger, or not younger, but shorter. Like you said, you're not a heightest. That guy could be like 5.
He doesn't need to play a sport. I don't know any soccer players. That's not my network.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying. It's stay away from your network, but also have like these requirements of.
No, I don't have requirements. Honestly, like I want a good-hearted person that's funny and adventurous and fun, and that's basically we just keep taking things off the requirements. As you.
You're lowering your standards.
Then you can only be you can't get disappointed.
So you say you're in for spontaneity. What is like the ideal date then? If a guy, he makes a decision, you said you want someone that takes the lead on that. Yeah. He obviously in Arizona, to be fair, there's not a lot of options of.
Yeah, there is. There's waiting.
You just
go for a hike. You can go to. Okay, well, you go for a hike. They could kidnap me. We could drive to Sedona. Not kidnap. That sounded really bad. Yeah. That sounded really bad. Can we take that back? I just mean like they could say, okay, we're going. Wear your hiking stuff. I'm going to pick you up at 12 on a Saturday. And we could drive to Sedona. That's 2 hours away. And I'd be like, game, you know?
Right. But then you're stuck with that person for 40
Yeah, I can handle for 10 years working with all men, I can handle pretty much all personalities. I mean, again, I hope he doesn't really kidnap me. I take that totally back, but I can handle it.
The risk of like, just, on that drive there, they say something that's a deal breaker and you still go.
Yeah.
Are you the kind of person that's going to make the best of it and just be like, all right, well,
Totally.
I'll bring a lot of work and I'll get my shit.
Yeah. Oh my God. No, I will totally. I'm not going to sit there and be like, well, and I have said, like, I actually went on a date and he was really mad. At the end of the day, I was like, God, I'm not your girl, but I have a couple people I want to set you up with. And he was actually really pissed because he was like this finance kind of douchey, his ego really did not like that. Where I've gone on dates with guys and be like, well, we weren't a match, but like, I have some awesome friends. And they're like, oh my God, that'd be amazing. So you meet some.
I think if I was that guy and I had no idea, I'd be pissed. But if I was like, also not feeling a vibe, that I can get it. But
I always assume that they could feel my energy, but maybe not. Maybe I need to be like more clear.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you're like on a date. What are you? So what I was meaning.
This is me on a date, by the way. This is how I am. Like I honestly, but that is truthful. Like I kind of don't have these, and it could be a problem for some people or not. Like I kind of am who I am all the time.
Sure.
Like I don't alter myself in any real situation. That's why I'm probably unemployable by somebody else, because I'm like, well, I'm going to do things the way, how I am.
Well, that just, I can't deal with authority either. I'm never able to work for someone else. But what about the fact that like, and when I say Arizona, there's not a lot to do. There is a lot of options. I agree. But in terms of thinking outside the box, there's Sedona, there's going to a game, there's going to a hike, there's top.
I don't need them to be like a magician, right? Like, or do things, but even like a comedy show. Like if they looked something like that up, again, normal times, like a concert, even if it's just drinks at a place I haven't been, just take the initiative. Like, I'm not sitting there and be like, I need to go to Mastro's. Like, it's not like that. I'm like, I would love to go to some dive bar that has some cool, like, cocktail or, whatever the case may be. I'm not really picky, to be honest.
The Coach House in
love the Coach House.
Yeah.
There's like a 2-hour wait right now because they have to like have people spread out. So
really?
Oh yeah. Arizona does not care about anything.
That's why I'm surprised that the's a 2-hour.
Oh yeah. Because they only have limited tables.
Oh, that's true. It's a small little spot.
Yeah. Love the Coach House.
I was in Arizona for 2 weeks. Actually, that time I was there with you, I was on my way back to Chicago and then everything got shut down. So I ended up extending my trip for another week. And then I went to a lot of places that I've been going to Scottsdale for over almost 15 years, spring training every year. And I went to some new bars that I had never been to because I met someone who on the apps who showed me like all these spots in Scottsdale that I never knew. So I was like,
what was your favorite?
Oh man, I went to where where people get arrested in Old Town. There's
Penn City?
No. Where the police department is.
Oh yeah. I've been there. Not for me, but yeah.
There's a famous restaurant that's been there for years, and I never knew about it. It's outdoor seating, and it was right by the Museum of Art. And I've literally walked and driven by there.
Yeah.
For years, going from Scottsdale Stadium.
Well, they have some hidden gems here. It's not all bottled blonde and hi-fi,
Bottled blonde, dear God.
Well, I laugh about it because I think about, being in Chicago, and like when I go home, I'll go on the apps. Both my parents live in Chicago. I go there. I was supposed to be there this summer from like June till August because it's hotter than hell here. So, and I'm like, I wonder what dating would be like if I lived here now, right? Like, because I never really, when I lived in Chicago, and I'm from Chicago, I grew up in the city, I know so many people, but I had this Australian boyfriend for 3 or 4 years. And then I met my other boyfriend like right after that. So I was really never single in Chicago. So I think about that. And like, sometimes I'll go on a date here and there in Chicago, but I wonder, like a young working professional there, that's everybody. Well, minus people that are married.
Right. No, I think in Chicago, there's a robust single community. And I think especially now, because of COVID, there's going to be a lot of divorce.
All the divorces.
A lot of single. Yeah, like there's like a fresh batch. I feel like every time I popped on there, of people that, that are there. But again, like it's just people are all different. They're all looking for different things, and more power to them. Right.
That's right.
Lindsey, we are out of time. You ran out the clock avoiding answering certain questions, which is but
it's not going to be very interesting to people probably, but
Well, I think it is. I think a lot of people want to hear about it. I know I didn't get to a lot of questions that I'm sure people are going to be pissed at me about, but where can people find out more about LT Custom and custom stores?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, I guess mostly LT Custom Style. It's kind of more a look into my life and some custom clothes here and there, but probably should fix that. But yeah, it's public, so people can go look.
And what apps are you on so people can creep on you there?
Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I'm on Bumble, Hinge, Raya.
Okay, that's the way to go.
That's right.
Get me in on Raya. I've been on the waiting list there for a year.
Dude, I don't know. I have when my next friend pass, I'll give it to you, but I can't make any promises. I don't know how they do that at all. It's not that cool, actually. I've never met anybody from there.
Yeah, no, I think it's fun because I'll be at shows with some of my friends who are comedians, and they'll show me the list. I'm just like, man, I don't have any of this stuff on my shit, but it's all good. Well, Lindsey, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem.
And thank you all for listening to another edition of Singles Only Podcast. Please subscribe, check out our sponsors, and give us a like.
Before I succumbed to the pressures of getting Netflix and Hulu, I was an avid reader. I still am, but I'm behind on my books. I used to read a bunch of books, mostly memoirs, biographies, nonfiction stuff. And as you all know, one of my favorite books is Perfect Pain by Paul Farahvar, a good friend of mine. It's an awesome memoir and it's a true story about how he fled Iran as a child and lived up this perfect life that we all are sold as a multimillionaire, successful businessman. But he had underlying pain and issues that he had not resolved. And this is what he did on his journey. It's an amazing book. I can't tell you how awesome it is. If you haven't read it already, I strongly recommend it. And I still have some free books to give away too. So for you listeners, subscribers, if you give us a 5-star review, I will send you a free book. I've got about 7 left right now. And it's a great book, perfectpain.com, available on Amazon. It has been discounted because he wants to get rid of his batch of books. Perfectpain.com, or go to Amazon, get the book. And if you've read the book already, give him a review too. We want to give him the Farahvar bump. Perfectpain.com by Paul Farahvar, or message me and I can maybe send you a book for the right price for free. No, I'm just kidding. Perfectpain.com.
I'm still standing.